So today we'll be discussing about different types of photography that we can pursue in our career. So this will be a very small discussion. We will not go in depth. And the basic thing is that when we will be discussing about these things, whatever composition techniques that we have learned so far, they will be valid or pertinent to all these subcategories that we are following. So to begin with, we'll start with portrait photography. So first we'll be discussing about the technical things for portrait photography. Bigger aperture is desired. Bigger aperture means small f value. So the subject remains in focus and the background will be out of focus. After that, obviously we want to freeze the motion so that we don't get any blur photo. So obviously we will be using faster shutter speed, and in the process, if we get noise like this, noise is not acceptable in portrait photography because no person will like noise in his or her photo. So if you are getting noise, obviously you have to use different photo processing software to get rid of all those noise. Whenever you are taking portrait photography, try to focus on the eyes. If the eyes are in sharp focus, then the photo gives much more pleasing experience to the viewer, because normally for portrait photography we start to look at the eyes and gradually we start to look at the detail that is there in the entire frame. Then uncluttered background is desired as always, particularly for portrait photography. It is more often required than other type of photography. And whenever you are taking a portrait photography, if you want to make it different out of the lot, so take this place that until the subject is giving me very strong expression, I am not going to click the shutter of the camera. I am not going to take any photo. So if you take this very seriously, obviously you will be getting very good photo. Apart from that, rule of third that we have discussed is obviously it is valid. You can try to use as much as possible in your composition. Now, when you are taking portrait photography, we have to be very clear about how much of the background will be there in the frame and how much space our subject is going to occupy. Let us say this is the photo. This photo is not a good example of portrait photography because the subject is occupying a very less space in the frame. So we have to be decisive about this. What we can do like this. Now it is much more better than the earlier composition, which is having lesser frame occupancy. Now this is having a better frame occupancy. And this is much better example of like how your subject has to be filled with respect to the entire frame that is there. So this has nothing to, this is also another example of a very good portrait photography. And please do remember that breathing face has nothing to do with the zoomed in photos, right? So for this photo, the entire frame is filled with the subject, which is carrying a very strong expression, emotion, right? So this type of photos are very much encouraged. And obviously, when you are pursuing portrait photography, the difficult thing that you must learn is the art of posing. So different poses you have to master. You have to make your subject feel comfortable and make your subject to pose for you as it is required for the photo that you are taking. And the most important thing in portrait photography is the way how you are using light in it. So try to be as much creative as possible in terms of use of light. This is another example of use of light. Natural light is being used here to make the composition look more dramatic. One more thing that we have to remember is that whenever you are taking portrait photography, it is about people, about human beings. So always try to emphasize on what the subject does. So if and try to focus on that part of the subject in a vivid way. Let us say farmer, you are taking photo of the farmer, so you can emphasize on his or her hand. Then it looks much better. You are taking photo of a guitarist, so give much more importance to its hand. Similarly, this is what we are discussing is that there are different types of portrait photography that normally we see. So this is a good example of editorial portrait photography. What is that? Like newspaper will be there, or maybe magazine will be there, their interview will be published. So for which the interview is getting published, the subject, you can try to take photo of the subject in the environment which normally he or she works, or which expresses a bit of what is the profession of the subject. So for example, this is the photo of a lawyer which works for a semiconductor company. So this photo is taken in that type of background, so which makes the subject look more expressive. Similarly, this also you can see, this is the subject, and the way this particular subject is captured with the environment, this is always desired for portrait photography. Now, when we are discussing about group portrait photography, there is a concept called stronger triangle. So when multiple people are there in your frame, you try to create as many triangle as possible, right? So if we observe this particular photo, here one triangle is there, see here one more triangle is there, here also, so many triangles are there, because if all the heads are kept in a horizontal line, then that photo does not look much pleasing. So keep this in mind, try to form as many triangle as you can. When you are taking group photo, then taking a good photo becomes normally difficult. So in that way, what you can do is that you can try to communicate with the participant in a vivid way, or you can ask the group what photo exactly they want. If they are having a better idea than you, normally for group photos, the people who are participating, they will have a better idea. So you can take ideas from them. In case they don't have much idea about it, then you can try to compose your photo in a candid way. And in that composition also, what you can do, you can try to form as many triangle as possible, right? There are other type of portrait photography normally we see, like for marriage photography, there is something called pre-wedding photography, post-wedding photography. So in that, what you can do is that you can have some creative ideas about it, how you are going about the photo shoot, and you just don't make the subject pose for you, just let them do some activities. Like this is one example, many example you normally will be seeing in this over the internet, or maybe Facebook, WhatsApp, many photos we see normally nowadays. For marriage type of photographies, the background plays vital role. So try to take a photo of the subject where the background is attractive and the subject is expressive, and don't ask the subject to stand in a particular position, but what you can do is that make the subject to do something, then automatically that posing thing will be taken care, right? And whenever you are taking portrait photography, the most important thing is that you have to communicate with the subject. You have to make the subject feel comfortable. And once you are able to take some good photographs, take some time, show the photographs to the subject, and let the subject to see his or her photo. And once the subject sees that whatever photos that you have captured is beautiful, now next few photos will be much more better than that you have taken previously. So this is a good thing you have to do. Always take photo of the subject, show the photo to the subject, make her feel better. And this is fine art type of portrait photography that which needs much more specialization, care, planning, right? And the subject has to cooperate, and it is the onus of the photographer to make the subject comfortable and get the desired result from the subject. Whenever you are pursuing fine art portrait photography, your poetic imagination has to roll for you, right? Until that imagination is working for you, how many photography tutorial you are reading or how many photography courses you are doing becomes useless. So give your poetic imagination a bit spin, read some good novel, watch some good movies, and that imagination each and every day you have to nourish. Then only you will be able to imagine a photo which is good. One more concept that we must think about portrait photography is the cropping, right? So whenever there will be situation where we will not be in a position to capture the subject in its entirety, so then we have to crop it. Now while cropping it, we must follow some etiquette. If we don't follow it, then the subject looks very unnatural. Let us say this is the subject. So next photo we'll see. With this we'll provide some examples. So this is the photo when the subject is captured entirely. Now you should never crop the subject like this. If you are cropping it, so as if you have beheaded the subject, right? So this may be acceptable cropping level for you. Okay, further if you want to crop it, once let us say the subject is wearing a half shirt, so no portion of the hand should be visible, right? So at that level only you can crop. Maybe like this is acceptable cropping. So once you are including hands in the frame, so you should capture the hands completely, or you should crop the subject with your hand properly like this, right? So this is again another accepted level of cropping. Now once you are capturing the subject or you are cropping the subject with legs, so this may be one accepted level of cropping, but you should not crop the subject like this, which again give the impression that the leg of the subject are amputated, right? So at that level you have to crop like this. So these are the acceptable cropping etiquette that you must learn and follow. Otherwise, the viewer who is watching the subject, that will not be much pleasing for them. So these are the basic things for portrait photography that we must keep in our mind. Another form of portrait photography that is very popular is a fashion photography. And if you want to pursue it, then it is a very costly hobby, I must say, or costly passion, I might say. So this type of photos we are normally watching over the internet, maybe Facebook for advertising, or maybe with glamour industry. So the first thing that we must remember is that fashion photography is obviously about the subject, but the most important thing is that it is about the fashion that the subject is wearing. Okay, this subject is there in the frame, but it is about this particular fashion that the subject is wearing. It may be some dress, it may be some sari, it may be some clothes, it may be some bag. So it's all about the fashion that the subject is using. Now for fashion photography, that creative imagination is required, and more creativity you will be able to capture in the photo, more good a photographer you will become over the course of time. So that should be your objective. You capture all those fashion, but with a bit of creativity, right? So these are some example of fashion photography. This is example of one more fashion photography with the male subject. Now, some typical application we normally see where like e-commerce site, Flipkart, this is one example. Like whatever fashion photography we see on Facebook, how those fashion photographers are surviving, maybe with the help of some glamour industry. So there this for magazine and for editorial portrait, those fashion photographs are captured, they are published. but majorly the business comes from this e-commerce websites, right? So because of that only, like industry mein whatever fashion photographers are there, they are surviving. So if you want to pursue fashion photography as your career, then you must understand that it is going to be very costly for you initially. So what are the basic things that is required for this is that you must own a studio, or in case if you don't invest that much money, so what you have to do is that you have to hire some studio rent basis per photo shoot. But having a studio is must. Sometimes you may like to have some outdoor photo shoot, that is also fine, but 80% of the time you are going to shoot indoor. And for shooting indoor, you need a studio, you need lighting equipment, you need other lighting accessories, light modifier. So all those things are going to cost you like anything. So that you must keep in mind. After that, there are different parties which are involved in fashion photography. The first thing is that, like, who is supplying the fashion, or for which company, for which e-commerce site, for which fashion brand you are going to do some fashion photo shoot. So this is the first party that you are getting, right? Some brand. So let us say Levi, this is one brand, or some Banarasi sari that you are going to shoot. So these are the parties for which you are doing some fashion photography, right? Now, once you are doing some fashion photo shoot, what you require is that you need a model, either male or female. So who is going to supply you those model? There are modeling agencies that you have to find out from internet, which are the modeling agencies are there in your locality, in your cities, and from there only you will be able to get models which are acceptable for your photo shoot, depending upon the need, like what type of photo shoot you are doing, right? After that, you need a stylist. So what will be the action of the stylist, or responsibility of the stylist, is that he or she will be designing the fashion theme that your subject is going to wear, right? Whether it is going to wear some sari or some lehenga or maybe some jeans. So that fashion wise, what is the theme that is going to be there for the photo shoot will be designed by the stylist. Next come the fashion or the makeup artist, right? So your subject for fashion photo shoot or for fashion industry, makeup plays a vital role. So for that you need a makeup artist. And next, so all these things are going to cost you, right? So first, what are the things that are going to cost you? First is the fashion brand, it is going to cost you, and the studio is going to cost you. Then the agency who is supplying the model is going to cost you. Then your stylist, you have to pay to your stylist, and then the makeup artist. And obviously the model is there, so that you have to obviously you have to pay. But remember that the basic heartbeat of the fashion photography is the fashion, and obviously you have to present that particular fashion or your subject in a very creative way. Until that creativity is there, you are going to make pathetic photos in this fashion industry, right? So all these photos, if we see, obviously the subject is there, subject is interesting, but obviously the objective is to display the fashion that the subject is wearing. So this is the second thing that we discussed in a very small way. And the third important thing of the evening is that the landscape photography, which most of us normally we follow it or we pursue it. So first we'll complete the technical thing. So what is the aperture that is desired for landscape photography? Is that I think everything is fine and things are visible also. In case if you are not able to get the video or voice, you just let me know in the WhatsApp group. So technical thing, the first we'll discuss about the aperture. For landscape photography, whatever is desired is that the entire frame should be in focus. So for that, what we have to do, we have to use a very small aperture, And how do we get a small aperture? By using of bigger f value. So it is desired key that f value should be 7.1 to f13. You can go less than 7.1 or you can go more than f13, but this normally gives you SURF photo, and if you go more than f13, chromatic aberration will come. If you go less than 7.1, then less of the subject will be in focus. So both of the things, they are not desired, right? So ISO, obviously, whenever we are capturing landscape photography, it is desired that we use a very lower ISO value, otherwise the noise will come. So by using both, like smaller aperture and lowest possible ISO, if our camera or photography gear is telling that the shutter speed that is required is slow, then with hand we are getting handshake blur or motion blur. So to stabilize that, either we can use some tripod, or we can place our camera or phone in a flat surface where that photographic equipment will be stabilized, right? Or if the shutter speed is faster, then we can afford to do with our hands only. Obviously, whatever composition techniques that we have learned so far, is all those techniques are applicable for landscape photography. Rule of third is there, you can see. You can use it judiciously. The thing that we should remember is that the concept of horizon, never keep the horizon in the middle of the frame, right? If the sky is interesting, or if you want to show the sky in more of the frame, then place the horizon in the lower third, right? In case the landscape is interesting and sky is less interesting, then keep the horizon on the upper third. So depending upon whatever things you are filling the frame, you place the horizon like this, either on the lower third or on the upper third. And obviously you do remember that creating depth in the frame by use of foreground, midground and background. And other rules like leading lines, concept of leading lines, you can use other whatever composition techniques that you have learned, you can use it. And for landscape photography, if you want to capture landscape, outstanding landscape photography, what is the thing that you should keep in mind is that you should reach at the right place at the right time. So if you are able to do that, obviously you are going to good photos. If you don't use much techniques also, that photo that you are going to capture will be excellent. So these are the techniques that we can follow for landscape photography. There are other branches of photography we will be discussing in a very brief manner. So the next topic that we are discussing is that two topics we are going to discuss. First one is still life photography and next one is street photography. So what is still life photography? It is nothing but there are many objects normally we see, those objects are beautiful and we want to capture those objects or subject but in a different way. So that is what called as still life photography. So this is a very interesting subject, but it is very common subject that we are capturing, right? So these objects are taken like a moment of life is frozen. So this is called as still life photography. So basically it is a photos of some object, interesting object that you are capturing. So these are example of still life photography that, so this is one more. So these are called as still life photography. So you can try to find out interesting object and you can capture them in a different way, right? And next portion, it is called as street photography. Is nothing but as if you are walking through a street and you are capturing a portion of life. So a moment of the life is captured by your photo, right? So it looks simple, but it's very challenging to capture moment which are everlasting. So great photos are there in particular branch of photography. Street photographies, you have seen there are great photographers who are famous for their street photography. This is Bengali street photographer. You can search over the internet. So this is a very famous photo also, historically famous photo. So all these are example of street photography. So this type of photography normally we do, like it is very difficult to take landscape photography just sitting in your locality for maybe 10-15 years. So over a period of time, let's say today you are taking photos of the park, then tomorrow you are going to some river, you are taking a photo. But for if you are not so much passionate, it will be very difficult to get good landscape photos. So normally what we do, we become street photographer by roaming here and there. So following this particular branch of photography, a bit easier in terms of you can get your subject nearby, maybe your locality, next to your locality, some places that you are visiting, but the subject that you are trying is not so easy, right? So this was all about street photography that we can pursue. Next that we are discussing is the product and advertisement. We are very much familiar with this type of photos. We have seen in e-commerce photos, e-commerce websites. So these are nothing but advertisement of particular product, and that product can be anything. We have seen, right? It can be Colgate, it can be toothbrush, it can be hair oil, it can be your vanity bag, right? So all these things are example of product photography. But these things are not easy. You need sophisticated equipment, you need lighting setup, you need a studio. So if you want to pursue it, again it is going to cost you. So these are example of advertisement photography. Advertisement of the car, this we are seeing it. Advertisement of Andhra Pradesh tourism industry. So these photos are not generated automatically, right? Some photographer, they are pursuing it. So all these are branch of photography which you can pursue if you want to make a career out of your photography that you are learning. So advertisement of upgrade, this normally we see on television. So all these things are going to pay you handsomely, but initially that setup cost is huge, so that much you should be able to spend, right? Next topic that we are discussing is that photojournalism. So photojournalism is nothing but one photo has to describe an particular event entirely, right? So this type of photos we have seen in newspaper. That is the sole purpose of photojournalism. Farmer protest. This is Afghanistan. This is farmer protest. Vinayak Chaturthi. Flood situation. So these are example of photojournalism, right? And this was sent by some participants of this particular group. So these are wonderful example of photojournalism which describes particular event. And the last topic that we are going to discuss, or the last branch of photography that we are discussing today, is action photography. So it's something like sports photography, bird photography, wildlife photography. All these things, they come under the category of action photography. These things we have seen and discussed. Only technical things that we have to learn is that use of faster shutter speed and lowest possible ISO values, right, to freeze the motion. So nothing much to discuss about it. So one assignment that we will be doing for all these things, this is more than submission, it is for yourself that you can do, and you can send it for me. Like whatever branch of photography we have discussed today, portrait, fashion, landscape, still, live, product and advertisement, photojournalism. So you can take one photo so that you have understood, or that photo is appropriate for that particular branch of photography. You can send the assignment to the mail ID. I will be reviewing it. So that was from my side for this evening. If you have any doubt, then I will be taking question from you, or else I will be posting these assignments to the group. So yes, if you have any doubt, you can raise your hand. I'll be answering. Okay, fine then. That was for the evening. And the next class will be basics of photo editing. So for that, some specific prerequisites will be there that I will be posting in that group. So bye for the evening.